So I am in the middle of Hibiya Park. I often pass through this park between my meetings, and today I am passing this between my meetings, and it's so astonishing to see there's no trace of Tokyo Olympics, which is less than 3 weeks away. You know, I can testify that the Japanese people are, those who are very fond of festivities, and so normally, if it were not for the pandemic, I am quite sure there would have been a lot of festivities going on. But there's so many, criticisms of the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics. So I think the organizing committee and those people who are around are kind of afraid to go ahead and be assertive about the preparations for festivities and so on. And I would say that this would leave a long-lasting scar on the psyche of the Japanese people. After all, this was supposed to be the first Summer Olympics in 56 years after 1964. And the hope was that this would be an opportunity to showcase the Japanese culture, history and civilization and so on, and food and all these things to the wider world, and welcome people from all walks of life and enjoy the Japanese summer and enjoy beer and enjoy culture and so on. That didn't happen, as you know, and less than 3 weeks before the opening ceremony, we are not even sure if there would be any spectators in the opening ceremony. So Mr. Abe made this remark that those people who are opposed to the Tokyo Olympics are anti-Japanese, and this is Annichi, and this phrase has been used in the last decade or so by the so-called Neto-Uyo people, web-based right-wing people, and in this particular context, maybe it's not fair to describe people who are opposed to Tokyo Olympics as anti-Japanese, because, people can oppose to something based on many different reasons. However, having said that, I do see the logic that, the success of Tokyo Olympics would have been really important public relations and promotional event for the Japanese government. So the failure or even hindrance of a total success would be a really serious blow to the Japanese government and Japanese economy and Japanese people at large. So it's quite difficult. I mean, in every country, there's this healthy level of criticism where you put the government actions in context, and you put your case that maybe what the government is doing is not really in the interest of people. That happens in many countries. However, in the case of Tokyo Olympics 2020, the stakes were so high. There were so many deeply rooted hopes and plans and purposes of execution and so on. So I do understand that some people might feel that they are betrayed by those people who are opposed to the Olympics in a serious manner, because I think these people would be thinking that, hey, we thought that we were in this together, and we were trying to make this happen despite the difficult situations. But hey, you people are opposed to the Olympics for no apparent reason. Well, there are apparent reasons, but for some reasons, and that might appear to persons like Mr. Abe, as anti-Japanese. I personally don't think that these people are anti-Japanese, but I do feel there's such a sadness about this lost opportunity. This is near the Kasumigaseki area. All this machinery of bureaucracy, Japanese bureaucracy, would have been in full motion if it were not for this pandemic to make this Olympics a success. But apart from these really small banners, there's a banner here. There are no sign, trace of the coming Olympics, and this is extraordinary. This is hard to believe, and I, for one, am deeply saddened by the lost opportunity. And as I said, this would probably leave a really serious scar on the Japanese psyche in years to come, whether the Olympics can go forward or not. The very fact that this is a divided nation at this time of difficulty and uncertainty about the future, I think would do a lot of psychological damage to this nation, which I love, would like to support. Of course, there are many ways, different ways to support this nation, and opposing the Olympics could be one of them. But still, it's so sad to see what's happening in Tokyo right now in the summer of the year 2021, 1 year later than planned.